I could not tell you how excited I was when I first started playing poker full time. I could play whenever I wanted instead of just nights and weekends. I could play however long I wanted to because I didn't have to get up for work the next day. But I had a problem. I wasn't the only pro in the player pool, and there was one person in particular that really gave me agita. This issue was not going to go away with wishful thinking, so I needed a plan. My name's Camilo, and this is the story on how I beat self-doubt at the poker table. Now, my first thoughts were a little too simple. I grew up in a restaurant, my dad drove a candy apple red Cadillac, we had one-word phone conversations, so my initial thoughts were, take this guy out back and... But that's not sustainable or legal.
And then he said I was ugly and I couldn't read good.
So I started observing what other people were doing. Like them, I initially approached this concept backwards. I desperately tried to outplay opponents with no real strategy. I would look down at a hand like Queen 9 off, be facing a raise from this guy, and think, he's too aggressive. I'll fight fire with fire. It reminded me of the gigantic mistakes the Mighty Ducks made in D3. Stick with me here. One of the conflicts during the movie was the Ducks, who were the JV in their new prep school, versus the varsity hockey team. There's hazing, there's pranks, and some intimidation tactics that climax with fire ants. The two teams met at dawn, and this was where the Mighty Ducks made the disastrous mistakes a lot of poker players do. They go for the triple deke. It stopped. The flying V. It's freight trained. Figure skating around. Not happening. The Ducks felt defeated and embarrassed. Charlie even temporarily quit the team. He was the captain. So if pulling out all the tricks at the poker table isn't the strategy, what is? Attack like the Romans did.
Are you not entertained?
Gaius Marius was a general during the Republic of Rome, and he was a masterful tactician. But he had a big problem: barbarians. Now, these weren't any barbarians, according to Plutarch. These were barbarians of the highest caliber. The Roman legions were frightened by the tribes of the Teutons and the Ambrones. This was a huge issue because during pagan times, warriors believed that gods were either with them or against them. Kind of like how some players evoke the poker gods. Phobos, the god of fear, was one of those gods. If Marius was not precise, his army could succumb to fear by retreating from battle or abandoning their posts. He needed a plan. What did he do? Nothing. General Gaius Marius had his men stand along the towers of their camp to observe these barbarians. They were ordered to sit there and watch. The Romans watched how these people practiced using their weapons. They saw how they fought, how they behaved, and how they spoke. The general realized that the longer you become accustomed to the strange and the foreign, the less frightened his men would be. Once the Romans observed the barbarians, their confidence returned. Here's how this translates to the poker table. Pick one player, observe them, how they act when they win, when they lose. Do they tilt? Do they become more passive or more aggressive when they're on tilt? How do they interact with other players? Are they affected by boredom? Put your phone down and observe them. The more you do this, just sit and watch. The more you sit and watch, the more you're going to humanize these players that give you mental fits. I can still remember being at the Sands in Pennsylvania, sitting in seat 6. It was an afternoon game. I'm playing a hand against this guy, Victor. It's not his real name, but this is the guy who gave me agita. After analyzing the hand, I realized Victor was making a huge mistake. The veil was lifted. I watched his every move for the next 2 weeks. He started calling me the pro a month later. If you got some value from this video, smash that like button, consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.